Hi everybody and welcome to American Truck Simulator. Today's today's video is going to be a special tribute to my grandpa who is in the hospital, and the doctors have said that it's only a matter of time before he passes away. And so I decided that I was going to play this game in honor of my grandpa. He drove trucks from the 50s to the 90s when he retired at age around 64, and then he continued driving local trucks locally for a few more years, and then after that he became a repairman. And in this video I tried to pick a truck that closely resembled the truck that he used to drive. And this is a Kenworth K100, and I'm pretty sure that didn't exist in the 80s. I think he had a Peterbilt. I don't know what kind. The one that there was a mod that had a Peterbilt that was similar, but I didn't like it, and it didn't have what I was looking for, so I picked the Kenworth K100. And I also got the flatbed, just like my grandpa. I don't remember if it was a drop deck or completely flat like this one, but I do remember that he had a tarp that he would sometimes have over the trailer to cover the trailer from time to time. Sometimes the very, very top of the tarp will be opened with wires extended over. Other times it'll be completely covered. Other times it'll be just a trailer. Unfortunately, I don't remember what he hauled, but I think it was steel, metal type things. So I decided to kind of wing it and go with large tubes. So we're gonna go pick up my delivery. Did I pick? Okay, I'm all set to pick it now. My grandpa drove trucks for a long, long time. Oh, I might cheat a little bit. No, I'm gonna back up, just like my grandpa would have done, but not as good as he does it. He's a pro when it comes to backing up. He can probably do it in his sleep. In fact, I'm sure my grandpa would do this better than me. But anyway, the trucks that I remember my grandpa driving were all cab-overs, though he told me once that he had some trucks with a small nose, like one of those 1950s trucks. I saw one that had, oh dear. Yeah, I'm bad at backing up. So I'm going to try and tell as many stories as I can in this game that I can remember. Okay, we're going to load her up. I don't think he hauled large tubes, but I honestly don't remember or know what he hauled on his trailer. I'm pretty sure he never had anybody's freight on the trailer when he was in the driveway home for the weekend. So let's get started on driving trucks. Now we are going to drive to Arizona. Unfortunately, the map only goes as far east as Texas and Oklahoma, or else I probably would have tried to drive the similar routes that my grandpa did, which was between Chicago and Maine, Massachusetts. So I'll probably be looking at my phone a lot just in case, because It could be any minute, any hour, any day. I hope it's sooner rather than later. I can't imagine waiting for a month. But anyway, so now we're going to drive this bad truck, this awesome, sexy truck. I'm just kidding. Now, my grandpa drove Peterbilt. He might have driven a Kenworth. One thing that I remember is that he had a knob, like similar to the one that's on the steering wheel. Though I think it might have been red, maybe. I don't remember. The wheel was bigger and had some wood. I don't think he had this thing that's in the middle of the truck, between the sleeper and the center console. But he definitely had a big stick. It wasn't, it definitely wasn't a stick like the one you see here. It was probably a long one. Not gigantic, huge like you might see in Life Behind the Wheels with Dakota. In his Peterbilt, he had a long stick. He says he liked it like that because of the way his arms are. So my grandpa drove trucks in the 50s. At some point, he owned his own trailer, which was a flatbed, and his own truck. He was an owner-operator. And some few months after I was born, my grandpa was working on a cab over. Now, let's take a look at this cab over. In order to fix the engine, you have to tilt the cab forward. And the door was obviously open, probably. He was doing some work on the motor, and his hand was where it shouldn't have been, and it sliced off his middle finger. And my grandpa just, from the story that I was told, my grandpa just calmly walked into the house and said, "I cut my middle finger off." Okay, he probably didn't use those words, but thinking about it actually sounds amusing because we all know what the middle finger is. So, anyway, everybody rushes into the panic. I was apparently in my baby seat on the porch, being completely deaf and blind and baby, not completely blind, but that's beside the point. I was sitting on the porch, and they all ran into the car. They almost left me behind. And my grandpa, while his hand was a bloody mess and probably in pain, although I have heard that in these types of injuries, they actually don't feel pain. I'm not 100% sure about that, but my grandpa was calm, and he just said, "Where's Christy?" That's me. And so my mom or somebody rushes to the porch to grab me and put me in the car so we can take Grandpa to the hospital. And because he cut his finger and in '82, that is all I remember. I never remembered him with his middle finger. But here's the funny part, okay? Here's the funny thing. My great-grandpa, his wife's dad, also lost his middle finger. I don't remember how. I want to say something to do with the lawnmower, but I could be remembering that story wrong. But it's kind of funny when you're in a way that my great-grandpa and my grandpa all lost a finger. And the middle finger at that. And one of my nephews actually lost a piece of one of his fingers as a baby. So it's kind of amusing when you think about it. But anyway, so that's my first story of Grandpa that I can remember. And all through the years, my grandpa drove trucks. He would be gone all week, from Sunday to Friday, and be back on the weekends. I remember Sundays being at Grandma's house, and Grandpa will get ready to go, and as he leaves, he blows his horn. I remember days of being at my grandparents' house. He has this huge garage, like it's big enough to put his entire semi truck in that garage. And so he would put and speaking of the garage, my mom loves strawberries, and so do I. They used to have a strawberry patch, but my grandpa, he needed a garage to put his truck in so that he could work on it during the winter. So they had the garage built, and of course the strawberry patch had to go away. And that garage was big enough to fit the camper. Actually, no. He used to have a pop-up camper, and it was always on the side of the garage. I don't think it was ever inside the garage because he still had his truck. But eventually, once he retired and sold the truck and trailer, he was able to put his camper, a pickup truck, a van, like 2 to 4 tractors, and all kinds of stuff in that garage. Here's the funny thing about the tractors. He brought, if I remember him telling me correctly, in the late 70s, he brought a tractor. And then in the 80s, he brought another tractor, thinking that they were both going to eventually break down. He still has both trailers to this day. He brought other tractors over time, but of all the tractors that survived are those 2 tractors. It's crazy. Of course, he knows how to fix and repair things, so things last longer. So over the years growing up, every time we go to Grandma and Grandpa's house, we'll pull into the driveway and we'll look to the left, because the way the driveway is, there's a straight to the garage, and then there's a little road, a part of the driveway that goes to another road. There's a lane and a road that the driveway meets. So we'll look to the side, and if the truck was there, Grandpa was home. Just like if the truck was in the garage, Grandpa was home! And we'll be all excited because Grandpa was home. Also, another thing growing up, because my grandpa was gone a lot, Grandma would come to our house to spend the night a lot. And we'll go to our grandparents to spend. But here's the thing, it was never our grandparents' home. It was never Grandpa's house. It was, we're going to Grandma's house. Because Grandpa was gone most of the time. And so, we went to Grandma's, and when we spent the night, most of the time Grandpa wasn't home yet. So on Friday evenings, I'll sleep in the bed with my grandma when I was little, before Grandpa retired. And sometimes when I wake up, there was Grandpa sleeping next to Grandma. He came home in the middle of the night, crawled into bed, and I wake up and there was Grandpa. Now, I might have been wrong about that. I do remember that Grandpa was home when I woke up. So maybe he wasn't in the bed with Grandma, maybe he was. I just kind of assumed. But it's possible that I might be remembering that wrong. It's just Grandpa was home when we woke up. We went on a lot of camping trips, and of course Grandpa was a pro backing up his camper. And I might not remember it, but it would not surprise me if Grandpa had to help one or two people back up their campers. It wouldn't surprise me if that happened. The reason why I say that is a couple of years ago, we went on our last camping trip with my grandparents. No, wait. Actually, that was the next to last time we went camping with our grandparents. Like, literally next to the last time. My uncle, his eldest son, is also a truck driver, or rather he's a mechanic, but he drives semi-trucks. And we could tell that this family was having trouble getting their camper into the camping lot. So finally, my uncle was like, comes over and said, "Can I help you?" And they let him take over, and he had the camper in the lot like it was nothing. So that's why I think my grandpa probably did that a time or two when I was growing up. I remember a camping trip where we had CB radios back in the 90s. That was common. Every time we go camping, my dad would set up a CB radio, put it in he would put it in the van or Suburban or whatever, and that was how we communicated with our grandparents, who also had a CB radio. And this is long before cell phones. This was in the 90s and 80s, remember? Time before the internet, or rather just the beginning of the internet, and time before cell phones as we know it today. So we had CB radios, right? So we went camping, and we communicated on the CB radio, and at some point we communicated with Grandpa, who was driving a semi-truck, and we were going to meet him at this rest stop, or parking space, so that he can park his truck. My grandma was in her 50s and 60s, and when we would go camping, she would be the one to pack up everything and hook up the trailer to the truck, to the pickup truck. I don't know if somebody helped her hook up the trailer pop-up. I don't know if someone hooked up the pop-up trailer for her, or if she did it herself, but she would have it hooked up, and then off to go camping. And I remember one particular trip, we met Grandpa at some kind of rest stop. It wasn't a rest stop. It was more of a, I don't know what it was, but his truck was the only one there, and there was this garage warehouse thing next to it. So I don't know what that place was, but he parked it there, and then got in the pickup truck with Grandma, and off to the campsite we went. We went camping, and then Sunday, sometimes I like to ride with my grandma, because I don't want to be away from my grandma. And we dropped Grandpa off at that rest stop I mentioned. He got out of the truck, gave Grandma a kiss, took his lunchbox, got in his truck, when he turns it on. I'm pretty... now that I think about it, I don't think he did like a pre-trip inspection. Or maybe he did and I just didn't notice. But anyway, because I learned from watching Alex the Trucking Guide that apparently you're supposed to do pre-trip inspection. But then again, Alex works for a company while my grandpa is an owner-operator, so the rules are probably different, obviously. But he, hey, is that one of my trucks that I made for the game? Anyway, yeah, I'm a little distracted now. But anyway, back to what I was saying. So, I remember him getting into his truck, and I said something to Grandma, something along the lines of, Grandpa's truck is smoking! And Grandma laughed and told Grandpa what I said, and he laughed. And off we went our separate ways. Grandpa back to work driving trucks, and us home sweet home. I always hated him when we separated ways. But I love being with Grandma and Grandpa. Some camping memories that I have is I was remembering this one thing when we went camping, and we were playing kickball at a campsite, and we were playing kickball, and there was a play where my grandpa literally dove for the ball and rolled on the ground. I mean, this guy was in his 60s, and he literally dove to the ground to grab the ball and rolled, as if he was some young adult teenager. That was my grandpa. What else? I do have a lot of memories. It's just hard to pull them up at will. And but then eventually my grandpa retired. And I gotta say, if there's one thing I missed was pulling into the driveway, looking to the side, and saying, Grandpa, was seeing his truck and going, Grandpa is home. I'm telling you one thing that I really regret though. I was the only one. Out of all my cousins, I love semi-trucks the most. I have, for as long as I can remember, I've always had a deep love for semi-trucks. That's why I'm playing this game, because I love semi-trucks. And my siblings had an opportunity to ride in his truck. I'm not going to tell you what they found in his truck one time. It was inappropriate, and my grandpa was like, oh, that's nothing. A friend gave it to me. I'm sure he threw it away. I don't know if Grandma knew about it, but my siblings were telling the story, and said that when they saw it, and Grandpa just was like, oh, a friend gave it to me. I'm sure he hid it quickly. That was my grandpa. Oh, he went. So, what was I going to say? I should have lost my train of thought there. Oh, I was talking about how my siblings had an opportunity to ride in the truck with them. But I went home. I was so just looking back, that's one of my biggest regrets. The only time that I remember riding in a semi-truck was when he had the truck in front of the garage, and then I was in his truck, and he backed the truck into its resting spot, like the place when he's not working on it, not doing anything with it, his ready to go to work place. He had it backed up, and then I rode with him. Then he blew his horn and helped me out of the truck. But looking back, I really wish that I had gotten to ride with him in that truck. It's too bad this truck isn't as, it's not exactly like his he did have a sleeper, small one. I don't know if he had any appliances in his truck. Oh dear. I don't know if he had any appliances in his truck. And I'm pretty sure that wasn't in the middle. There was instead this really long stick like the older vehicles used to have. But it's definitely nothing. I mean, the bottom of that stick that you see is similar, but it was a really long pole that you would use to shift the truck. And he had this thing on the steering wheel, a knob I think it's called. The wheel was probably bigger and wooden, and he had that knob. I think it was actually maroon or red or something like that. But this was, the front is actually similar to what his truck looked like. I tried to make color, tried to change the color of the truck, but being partly blind, I had trouble trying to match what I was looking for, so I decided to just leave it and do this instead. I figured this is just the best. This was good enough. So, after when Grandpa retired, it was either his birthday or his retirement party, but my grandma did a tribute video celebrating his life. I remember some things, like one of my cousins walking in to the area where we were having a party wearing Grandpa's military uniform. I also remember a video where they showed videos where Grandpa was driving his motorbike and also riding a horse. I think he was riding a horse. I might not be remembering everything correctly. Excuse me. But, yeah. It was kind of weird having Grandpa home once he retired. He continued to work well into his 80s. As I mentioned before, he drove trucks locally for a while. Then he helped a neighbor in his appliance repair business. He did some major renovations on the yard outside his house. He put in like a brick sidewalk. So yeah. They used to have a dog named Snowball. I think that dog was given to them by my aunt because they had to go to Germany or something. I don't remember the details. I just remember or understand that they had a dog with them that they kept until the dog passed away. And my dad used to joke about how in order to get the dog to play with me, they would tie a bone to my head. I never liked that joke. I didn't think it was funny. It's bad enough that I was dealing with insecurities, but to tease me like that wasn't very nice. But I didn't learn how to laugh or take things and not take things personally, so. But anyway, this is about my grandpa, not about me. So we continued going camping. We went to Assateague Island a few times in my high school years. Oh, I just remembered a story of when I was a baby. So because of my Charles syndrome, my right face is paralyzed. Whoa! Oops. I guess I forgot I wasn't on the highway. Ooh, that reminds me of another story. Grandpa used to once told a story where a car somehow, oh crap, I'm stuck. Grandpa, I'm stuck! Oh dear, I'm stuck! Oh dang. Actually, I'm gonna do it this way. But one time, a car was driving, he was driving, and somehow, I don't think it was driving through an intersection, and a car, and this is probably in the 60s or 70s, but I could be wrong, but somebody drove right under his flatbed, and I think the flatbed was probably higher than this truck. Of course, remember, it's not perfectly to scale, obviously, but the point is, a car got stuck under his trailer and he had to wait to get things taken care of and fixed, get the car freed and so forth. Now, back to my stories. When I was in high school, we went to Assateague Island quite a bit. Well, maybe not as much as I seem to think we did. It might have just been a handful of times. We go swimming, see the horses, went out to eat, went for a walk on, I think. I forget what it's called, but it's a boardwalk? I don't want to say boardwalk, I'm not sure that's the right name. But it's a long bridge with all these vendors and stuff. No, it's not technically a bridge. Maybe it is boardwalk. In Jersey City, I think. Assateague Island was in Maryland. We went bike riding, and I remember my grandpa was a bike rider. He was so sit up straight on this bike, and he just rides like it's up this steep hill on a bridge like it's nothing. My grandpa rode bikes with grandma for years. I don't remember when they stopped, but it was probably quite a few years ago. But we went bike riding together. I remember grandma making these delicious ice cream sandwiches with cookies. I remember trying to make ice cream sandwiches like my grandma did, and my former missionary, called me a pig. Of course, she was from England and she wasn't feeling well and was shocked and didn't realize that I was just trying to make it some way, and didn't realize that I'm not a clean eater because of my right face paralysis. Now, which leads me to another grandpa story. When I was a baby, my grandpa, now when I was a baby, I couldn't suck. Like, babies suck. And my mom wasn't able to breastfeed me because I couldn't suck. In fact, my sister told me that Mom would prop me up with a bottle because I took so long to suck. It took me a long time. Even now I still can't suck. I can suck a little bit, but not enough to make it worth it. So I remember when I was in high school, they had straws, and I always asked the cashier if they have big straws, and because I was asking so many times, she started keeping them just for me. I really appreciated her consideration and kindness that she would do that for me. But anyway, that car came out of nowhere. I don't like driving in the dark like this. It's too hard to see for me. But anyway, so let me go to sucking. And I'm trying to say S as in Sam, U-C-K, suck. And my grandpa poked a hole in my baby bottle to make it bigger and make it easier for me to suck. And like I said, I still have trouble sucking. Okay, it probably does sound like I suck, but trust me, every time I get a milkshake, I always ask for a spoon. Or I would just take off the lid and drink it and drink it like that. I just can't suck. It hurts after a while. And it doesn't go up. So, but anyway, yeah. My grandpa poked a hole in my baby bottle to make it bigger. So that happened. In 1999, my dad and my family planned a trip to California and back. We were going to drive across the country to California and back and stop at church history sites like Nauvoo, Kirtland, Ohio, Salt Lake City. You can see where I'm going with this, right? A member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, we were interested in the church history sites as we traveled west. Now, we've probably been there before. I don't remember how many times we've been to Utah, but we've gone back and forth to Utah quite a bit. Between Utah, flying or driving. But in my senior year, or before my senior year, I'm stuck again. My mom and dad invited Grandma and Grandpa to come join us for our road trip. Man, they declined. But something interesting happened. Now, Grandpa is a member of the church. He wasn't interested, and that's fine. But like the day or the day before, he felt strongly that he needed to go. Like, he literally said to Grandma, "Barb, we need to go. We need to go." And so they packed up, like, I mean, I'm not kidding. I don't know if it was the exact same day they made that decision or the day before, but they literally packed up the camper, and he was already retired by this point, so they packed up the camper and met us in Ohio because we live only about a mile from the Ohio borderline, and my grandparents live about 45 minutes south of us in Pennsylvania. So they met us in Ohio and off we went. And it was a good thing they came because we had a couple breakdowns. At one point, the sewer line for our Yellowstone camper fell out. Our Suburban broke down in Kansas. I think there were a few other issues too, so it was a good thing they came with us. We went west and came back east. It's hard to believe that my grandpa's going home to heaven now. I mean, I expected it, you know, he's 92, he's going to be 92 in 1 month from tomorrow or Saturday. We knew it was going to happen eventually, but then tonight when my dad said he had to go to the hospital to give him a blessing, a priesthood blessing, and I knew this was it. And I don't, it was like the Spirit was saying, this is it. And I thought, I kind of brushed it off because I always thought that way. Like, this could be it, this could be it. But I was always wrong. But this time, I knew. This may sound crazy, but I actually asked Heavenly Father to please take Grandpa home so he doesn't have to suffer anymore. It was hard. It's been hard for him this last decade. Well, especially these last 5 years when he broke his ankle. You know something? That leads me to say this. For a long time, he didn't mow grass like he used to and didn't do much work out in the yard. But this year, he went out and mowed the lawn like he used to, did some yard work. Now looking back, I'm so glad he got to do that. But he was in a lot of pain. Pain that they couldn't figure out or alleviate. And then today, he had a fall. I guess he had a fall last night. Nobody texted me. Nobody told me what was going on. I was expecting Mom to go to Grandma's today, because she usually does. And ooh, this just reminded me of something. One time, in the middle of the night when I was young, my grandpa was on his way home from truck driving, and he pulled into the driveway. Now, if you see our driveway, this is no small feat, okay? Like, here, I'll show you. I'll show you a picture on Google Maps. But I'm gonna turn off the camera for a minute so you don't see the address I input. There we go. Okay. Just give me a few minutes. I want to show you what our driveway looks like. Because I want you a vision. Okay. Alright, now you can see it. There we go. Now, I want you to envision, okay? Try driving a semi-truck on that driveway right there. Turning it back around and driving it out. I mean, he might have driven through the grass, but he might have driven through the grass. I don't remember. I just because it was dark, but he literally pulled into the driveway with his truck. And just so you know, there was 3 pine trees, huge pine trees right here in front of this tree that my arrow is pointing at. There were 3 or 4 pine trees along the driveway. So my grandpa drove his truck down this driveway and then somehow turned around and came back out. I don't think he drove through the grass either. So he might have backed up into the driveway, or he literally drove forward, turned around, and drove out. Now, we didn't have this camper back then, and this wasn't here. The pole shed, the camper, it wasn't there. So he probably had a little more space to work with. But he had to turn around and came out. I mean, look at this driveway. That's just crazy that he was able to do that. But, yeah. Anywho. Back to finishing my delivery. I guess I'll back up. I don't like backing up sometimes, especially in the dark. But anyway, this is for Grandpa. This is for you, Grandpa. Oh dear. Now how do I get back up in there? This is how I'm going to do it. So my grandpa, even though I was expecting it, it's still hard to believe, you know, because you're expecting it, and then and sometimes it seems like he'll live forever, and then suddenly he's gone. Well, he hasn't died yet, but if I heard my dad correctly, it sounds like he said there's little brain activity, and he's just breathing right now. So it could be hours, weeks, months. I hope not that long. I want Grandpa to go home so he can be free. Home to heaven. Okay, not enough lights to really hard to see. I'm amazed that my grandpa was able to do this. Of course, he has better eyesight than I do. It's all good, though. Oh! Oh, wait a minute. I was a little confused. Oh, dang, I almost had it. This is for you, Grandpa. I love you. Okay. Backing up. I had a lot of good memories with my grandpa. And I'm grateful that he'll be free of pain. What the heck? Oh. This is my trailer, so I just have to turn the engine off and then hit enter. There we go. I delivered it. Excellent. And I wasn't late either. Obviously, this isn't more or less stick. I'm using a mod. So, anyway. So, yeah. This is what I will always remember my grandpa's with a cab over. I don't know how or why. I mean, I'm mostly blind. I'm mostly deaf. I'm never going to drive semi-trucks in real life. Not unless they are able to fully automate the truck to the point where a blind person can drive it. I'm not completely blind, by the way, obviously, or I wouldn't be playing this game. But it's enough that I can't drive in real life. And my grandpa, I don't know why, but ever since I was 5, it might have been earlier than that, but I always remember the cab over. I've always had a deep love for semi-trucks. I remember Grandpa watching me play 18 Worlds of Steel Pedal to the Metal, and at one point I was doing something on the truck in the game, and my grandpa said, "Watch out, you're gonna jackknife." Meaning the trailer was gonna be like, and the truck was gonna be in like an L shape. That's not a good thing. Unless you back it up, I guess. But anyway. I've always had a deep love for semis. I don't know why. I mean, I'm never going to drive in this life. So, why do I have this deep love and connection? I don't know why, but this I love cabovers, okay? Because that's the only trucks that I remember Grandpa having, though. Before I was born, he had trucks with a nose, but most of it was all cabovers. And trucking and my grandpa will always have a special place in my heart. I'm gonna miss my grandpa, but like I said, I'm grateful that he's free from pain and suffering. I am grateful for the plan of happiness the Heavenly Father has given us, the, the and that Jesus Christ died so that we can be resurrected. I am grateful that I will see my grandpa, that because of the plan of happiness, that we will see, that I will see my grandpa again, that I'll see my family again. This isn't the end. I'll see my grandpa again. And who knows? Maybe somehow he'll give me a ride in a semi-truck. I don't know how, but who knows? You never know. I don't know what the spirit world's going to be like, or what it's going to be like when we're resurrected. But I'm just saying, you never know. But my grandpa, every time I drive a cab over an American truck simulator, I will always remember you. I'm grateful for my Savior Jesus Christ, who died for us so that we can see you again in heaven. And I look forward to seeing you again. I love you, Grandpa, and we'll see you in heaven, okay? Thank you for joining me on this special stream. Have a good night, everybody. Defy the impossible. Peace.